Yo, what's good, everybody? This is Keith from Almost in Full Color, and today we're doing our Stellar Blade review. Yeah, you see it on the screen. You know what time it is, all right? So, before I really get into the review, though, I will say that before I started playing this game, I saw some reviews, I saw some scores, and I was kind of worried. I played the demo, and I was very satisfied with the demo that we got, and then I saw those scores, so I thought, man, the story must be horrible or something bad must happen with this game. I played the game, I beat the game. Listen, guys, girls, this game is fantastic. I absolutely ended up loving this game. Great purchase. I am very happy with this game, like all the way through. So I know some people are going to see like some high 70s and some like low 80s out there, and that may dissuade you from it, but I urge you to watch this video and to just check it out and see how you feel about it from what's in the background. Very minimal spoilers. This is kind of like the first section of the game, so don't be too worried about the spoiler section of that. I'm gonna keep this nice and spoiler free for you, all right? But we're gonna start off like I always start off, and that's with the visuals, okay? And yeah, Eve. So we have our main character, Eve, and they really did a good job with using the assets that they had to make sure that everything about her just popped, ensuring that not only was she, strong, but also she just has that, nice and jiggly, should I say, aura about her. All right. Nah, man, look, let's cut it. All right. Listen, guys. Yeah, Eve is a character that someone allowed their intrusive thoughts to be created by. Okay, like they really were in there, and it's that meme that let him cook. Like that's probably what ended up happening, how Eve was created. Someone with their little intrusive thoughts was just going and going and going, and before anyone could stop them, they're like, hold on, let's see what he comes up with or she comes up with, because they're on to something here. So yes, by all intents and purposes, Eve is a lot of people really love this character model. I'm not gonna say I'm mad at anyone for saying that they love this character model. Okay, it's a really good character model, and I've definitely seen worse. With that being said, everything, not only Eve, but everything around her was constructed very beautifully. I feel like they really were hitting on all cylinders. Like I said, not only with Eve, but the supporting cast around Eve, and also just the environments themselves in relation to the story itself. So I feel like everything fit how it's supposed to fit, and then they made sure that everything looked dope at the same time. So I feel like when you have all that great character model that stands out from the environment, but at the same time the environment looks really good, and at the same time you're keeping that stable 60 frames, I'm very positive it did not drop any frames whatsoever. So you kept that visual integrity going the entire time. Kudos to them, because the game looks absolutely amazing. All right, so from there, speaking about the surrounding cast and all of that, the voice acting was good. I feel like everyone got their script and they did what needed to be done with that character. Okay, do I feel like anyone went above and beyond? No, but I do feel like everyone executed. So not going above and beyond isn't a slight. They did what the character needed to have done, and for me personally, that's all you got to do. All right, that's a job well done to me. So kudos to the voice acting team. I feel like they did a really good job. So in the sound department, I feel like the battle music was really good, but then there's like a weird thing that happens when you go into a camp, and that is the music changes to like some like kind of lounge jazz type music, and it's like everything is okay. It's like you walked into like this real cool bar, and it's like, yeah, no, this is not a real cool bar. This is a camp out after the apocalypse, or what seemingly is the apocalypse. So like, yeah, like I don't know who put these little record players in here with this jazz music going, but hey, like it's a thing, and that's the only thing I feel like with the sound that kind of like is a bit of a miss. Now maybe it's meant to kind of cut some of that doom and gloom that exists all throughout the game. Yeah, I feel like they could have kept that tone going with the doom and gloom, and maybe had a different type of music playing, and not like some swanky jazz bar music. Now onto the story, which what I felt like, man, this might be the part that was so horrible. And through playing the game, I was like, hold on, like it gets interesting, it gets more interesting, and I really actually enjoy the story. I don't think that the story is like the best story on earth, no, but I think it is very interesting, and it reminds me a bit of Horizon Zero Dawn, how I felt like that future could be our current, like humanity currently could be on like that path of the future. Like that could be some stuff that happens. And that's what got its hooks into me. It's kind of like seeing this and being like, yeah, no, like I could totally see humanity right now, like going down this path and then it just all going downhill for us. So I thought the story was very well written. I like the story a ton. And I really, really would encourage people to maybe it's not going to tickle everyone's fancy, but I do think it's a good story. Which leaves us with the gameplay. This is the best part of the game. It is so great. If you are a fan of like Souls games, but you're also a fan of like Devil May Cry, think of like a good midpoint between the two. It's way more forgiving than a Souls game, and it's not as fast paced as a Devil May Cry. It's like somewhere right in there, near Automata type. Very great game by way of combat itself, all right? One thing I really do love, kind of harkening back to the visuals, what they've done with Eve and how they utilize just everything about her. Now, you have this beautiful character model, right? And she has a big-ass sword walking around, lugging it around. I feel like they felt like that's going to take away from her. So how can we make it sexy, right? Because that's what this character is. It's a sexy character. So her having like a big-ass sword and all these other gaudy things on her takes away from that sleek design that they have of her. So, hey, how about in her hair? That's where her sword is housed. But let's make it sexy. A sexy ass hair clip that comes off and it forms into a sword that she could pull off. So not only are her accessories there as a fashion statement, but they also support a function that is, I'm here to do combat. And so I thought that was a very cool thing. Just the hair clip turning into the sword, the earrings having their functions. You can get additional clothing for Eve as well. So for a lot of people who feel like she's too sexualized and whatnot, there is clothing that you can get for Eve to cover her up some. And some of that looks like way better than that bodysuit that she's wearing. So you could actually make her look like really, really fucking fly if, you go and spec into just trying to get her some clothes. You will have to wait a little bit to get her some clothes, but when you do get her some, you can make her look like real classy. Going on from there, we have a skill tree. Much like many other games, you have tons of skills out there. All right, so we have 4 skills. These 4 skills are triplet, which is tied to pressing L1 and square at the same time. This is going to jab the enemy with your sword 3 times. As you upgrade that skill, it does more things. L1 and X will do the shield breaker skill. So you go to do a series of kicks, and it's really effective against shielded enemies. You have L1 and circle, which does this cross wave. The little bit of a projectile goes out. Again, once you upgrade it, it does more. L1's triangle is going to do a bit of like a high arc kind of wave of the sword, which is really good for enemies in a kind of like an arc shape around you. Now, 3 skills I would tell you to get off the back that support those skills specifically are the beta recharge on attack. So every time you land a successful attack, you charge up your beta meter. And what the beta meter allows you to do is to perform one of those skills I just spoke of. So if you look right above your HP bar, you'll see BE. And right next to those, once you fill up 4 of those little squares, that represents the ability to pull off one of those moves. The second one I would tell you to go for is the beta recharge on a perfect parry. So once you do a perfect parry, you can then get more beta energy, and it's something that you'll be doing a lot. You could also perfect evade as well if you're into that, but I found myself perfect parrying a little bit more. It kept me close to the enemies, and I play super aggressive, so I always want to be close. I always want to be in the mix, so perfect parry for me was a thing that I went into. And if you're having issues with perfect parrying, there's also a skill in the skill tree that's your focus boost, and it gives you a little bit of a bigger window to pull off that perfect parry. I didn't get that until late because I just really wanted to challenge myself. It's been a while since I played a game that really, really gave me a challenge, and this was one of them, and I was really loving the combat, so I didn't get that skill until very, very late. It's a great skill to get if you're just having problems with those windows. It gives you a little bit more time in those windows. However, even with that skill, you still need to try to perfect parry. Like, for some of these skills, even the skill called Blink, which will allow you to teleport behind an enemy if they glow a certain color and at a very particular time. You also need to input forward towards the enemy and circle at the same time. If you do back, left, or right, you will not perform Blink. It is not like you have to be on it. These skills are very particular, and I love how tight this combat is. You cannot just mash square, you cannot just mash triangle. Like, you have to be on your P's and Q's with your combos. You really have to be into it. If you hit attack and then you realize you messed up too late and you want to try to dodge out of it, you're probably not getting it off in time. You're going to go through that attack animation and you're about to get slapped if you did it the wrong way. Enemies are not forgiving. They will punish you. Thus, where I kind of say it reminds me of Souls, but also it's like right in between that Devil May Cry, because it's faster to me than a Souls game, but it's not as fast as Devil May Cry. It's right in that midpoint, but combat can get really crazy, especially if you're fighting multiple adds at once. And they all have different attack patterns, so you're trying to go, you know, 1-to-1-to-1. I would say at the beginning of the game, when you don't have so many skills unlocked, try to kite one to you and just kite them away. Take a one-on-one and just try to take things one-on-one at a time until you get more comfortable, until you get better with, okay, learning patterns. When this one does this, okay, cool. Learning who to take out. A lot of those ranged enemies are glass cannons. They hit like a truck, but they can get decimated in a moment. You just have to close gap on them. Again, the gameplay is literally like the best part of this game. It's the thing that really kept me going. The story was just a cherry on top, but this gameplay is amazing. Now, it's not really open world. I would say it is, but isn't. You'll be in an area and you can explore that area. There's obviously like the path that you need to go, but there's so many like nooks and crannies, places that you can go off left, off right, up, below. So it's very dense with the amount of paths. They do use the yellow paint. I know a lot of people hate the yellow paint for whatever reason. I guess people don't like being told where to go at the end of the day, but the yellow paint is really good because it does direct you to like where something could be. So later on in the game, you will get access to the double jump feature. And at that point, you may want to go back to some of those areas at the beginning of the game to kind of get to things that maybe you couldn't get to at first. And therein lies a fast travel system. So certain camps have a payphone. If you go to the payphone, you can go and fast travel to any of the big camps that you have been to. The big camps are the ones that allow you to do the weapon upgrades, to upgrade your tumbler, which is the amount of potions you can carry at once, to upgrade your gear sockets, so things of that nature. So you can fast travel between those camps, go back to other areas, and make sure that while you're exploring, if you see a locked door, do your best to unlock it, because it's really going to help you, especially if you have to go back. It really helps you just get in between areas. Some of those doors are locked. It can only be open from one way, but once you pop that door open, you're good to go, all right? Overall, you guys have just heard me rant about this gameplay for a little while. It's fantastic. It's really good. Again, if you love Devil May Cry, Nier Automata, Sekiro, I think you really are going to love this game. Again, story, very interesting. Just don't listen to what other people are saying right now. Just kind of like let it sink in. If you're really into sci-fi and stuff like that, I think you definitely would like this. If you're not really into sci-fi, well, then maybe you're not really going to like the story. But I think you will love the combat, because the combat is absolutely fantastic, all right? I played this game for about 17 hours, beat it. I probably could have beat it a little bit faster, but I was off the beaten path. But now I have about 19 hours into the game, just trying to do some auxiliary things. So with that being said, I think you get a ton of content for the amount of money that you spend on it. I think that content is definitely dope. And I hope they put out like some format of DLC or something for this game with some additional bosses or just something like that. I would love more just battle content out of this game. It doesn't have to be story driven. I would just love some like battle content out of here, because I really enjoy the fighting that exists within this game. It's tight, it's precise, yet at the same time, it's flexible and it's fluid. All right, it's a really weird thing. You would have to go through it to understand it. But please, just give this game a shot. Don't be one of those people trying to play this game with one hand. Wink, wink. All right, some people are being wild and down bad. All right, is she a gorgeous character model? Absolutely, but don't forsake your controller for, you know. Hey, come on, y'all, knock it off. All right, just play the game, enjoy the game. All right. That's going to be it for this one, you all. Hit that notification subscription button, because we are going to be having content. We're almost at the summertime. I'm sure there'll be some gems dropping soon, all right? But thank you all for tuning in, and as usual...
You looking for Sister's junk?